Hey y'all, welcome to the Team LoCoFit Roundtable, hosted by me, Laurin Conlon, owner of Team LoCoFit. Each week, I am joined by one of our coaches to dive headfirst into the nutrition, training, mindset, and coaching strategies we use with our clients. If you loved the show, please subscribe, leave us a review, tell a friend, you know the drill. And for more information about coaching, the programs we offer, and additional content, visit teamlocofit.com. All right, we are back with Training Director Ryan Conley. Hey.
What's up?
He's so excited. He's just really excited about this shining bright light on his face and how nice it makes him look.
Gorgeous? Is that the word you're looking for?
Yeah, I was searching and I couldn't decide what word to use. But today we're not talking about lights and how gorgeous Ryan is. We're actually talking about how to deadlift. And if you guys have not seen the article on our website, I would highly suggest checking that out, just because there are also photos and everybody learns a little bit differently. So sometimes visual as far as photos or written really helps kind of solidify things, but also verbal is a really great way for people to learn, and just audio, not verbal. Audio is a great, wow, trying to recover that. Audio is a great way for people to learn as well, and we can just kind of really go into more nuance. Don't stop looking at me, I'm going to start laughing.
Verbal learning.
Verbal learning is so helpful. All right, so in the article, we actually talked about 6 different types of deadlifting.
I got carried away there, huh?
Yeah, you really got after it. And they were conventional deadlift, sumo deadlift, Romanian deadlift, aka RDLs, straight leg deadlift, trap bar deadlift, and then a B stance or staggered stance deadlift.
You passed the quiz.
Yeah, wow. It's like I proofread that article painstakingly proofread it. Anyways, you want to go over do you want to go over how to start? Like, where would it basically, like, go over just why deadlifting is important, I guess you could say, as a movement pattern. Not necessarily the type, just in general, deadlifting.
Hip hinge would be the pattern.
Yes.
Everyone picks stuff off the floor. So whether you have a kid or a dog, or
we should just end the pocket. Everybody picks stuff off the floor, so you better deadlift.
Yeah. Or you drop a pen on the floor and you have to pick it up. So you're going to be doing some kind of movement in your everyday life, one way or another, once upon a time, and you're going to do a hip hinge. So what that means is you're going to bend at the waist and your ass is going to go back, your legs are going to be straight or bent in some capacity, and you're going to bend over. So for us to get some kind of, build some resiliency, not get resiliency, for us to build resiliency.
It's been a hard English day for us.
Yeah, the first podcast wiped my brain cell out. The only one I had left.
Whipped out the single brain cell. So
for building capacity, strength, resiliency, we want to train the deadlift. It's a very simple, primitive movement. You walk up to the barbell and you pick it up. So I think it's something that is, it's so simplistic that a lot of people do it, and it's so simplistic that it, honestly, a lot of times it's not done terribly wrong. There's nuances to it, but there's definitely ways that you can go about it if you're not comfortable with it. There's some people that are built better to deadlift. Long arms, short torso, long legs. They can deadlift a little bit better, long torso, and they are going to be more natural at the movement, just like any other exercise or sporting event. So there's ways that you can go about learning that if you are not one of them that just walked into a gym one day and picked up a barbell and felt great.
Mm-hmm. And why we wanted to kind of break this down is we will get to the specifics, but as far as like hip hinging, that is really important. As you know, it's a really important part of any program. And if you haven't listened to our podcast on creating intelligent training programs and like what constitutes a good training program, go listen to that. That was the one before this. But just in general, any kind of hip hinge movement is something that you're going to want to incorporate. But say somebody has very little training background, say somebody might have had an injury, and of course these are all very context specific situations. Like, we're not trying to prescribe anything over a podcast without seeing you. But let's say, again, somebody with little background in training, they're not going to, load up a conventional deadlift. Like, that's just not going to be what they do, right? But they could start with dumbbell RDLs, right? And like, that's kind of what I want to talk about is like, first, it's just like, where would you even start people, and then where would that kind of progress?
Basically just learning the movement pattern to begin with. You could start with the PVC pipe, or someone even just moving your hips and teaching you how to keep a relatively straight back. And besides that, I would probably go to either picking a dumbbell that is stacked vertically on the ground, like the weight itself is on the ground. And you can grab the other end of the weight. So it'll be either a kettlebell or a dumbbell stacked vertically on the ground. Learn how to pick that up. So you're going to stand over top of it and going to bend at the knees, push the hips back, keep the back relatively straight, and learn how to do that movement pattern. And then after you've learned how to do that, you can either continue to load that. So that's a great way to teach kids, is to just deadlift with a kettlebell that's on the ground. It's kind of like a variation of a squat and a hip hinge. So it's a little bit of both. It's a high squat and a deadlift. So that's a great way to start as a child, or as a young youth athlete, or someone who's never deadlifted before. And you can load that up pretty well comparative to their body weight. And then once you've progressed past that, then I would usually start somebody off on like a trap bar. I think the trap bar is, out of the 6 exercises that we picked, I think the trap bar is the easiest to jump into and load it up and kind of get some kind of weight on the bar and actually tax the muscular system without worrying too much about technique. Like, you can just kind of naturally pick up into it and
I feel like
hit the ground running.
A lot more of a natural movement. I love it, and it works well for me because of like my weird legs. So I have pretty long legs, and it just, conventional always just felt weird for me. But I really do like the trap bar setup. It's so yeah, I would say that definitely starting with a kettlebell. Because these are important movements that would, you're going to want to incorporate into a training program. Even if you look at a deadlift, like, oh wow, look at these people doing powerlifting meets. Like, I could never do that, and like that's not where you need to start. Nor
I actually started with the trap bar. Now that I think about it, that was my first deadlift pattern that I learned. Was a trap bar.
Most people aren't going to be doing that, you know what I mean, and that's okay. And you can still make tons of progress without doing that. And I think that that's where the important part is. So I guess let's just dive into the different ones. So conventional deadlift. Let's just talk about some of the specifics there.
That's going to be, aside from the trap bar, so I do see trap bars at a lot of gyms or a lot of training facilities, athletics facilities, things like that. So they're absolutely not rare to find by any means, but obviously a straight bar is, everywhere. Yeah, every gym's going to have a straight bar. So that would be the most common place to start, or the most commonly seen deadlift. And you're just going to walk straight up to it with your normal gait or your normal walking stance, and you're going to line your shins up to the barbell. That's going to be dependent on, again, your the limb length and everything, and usually it's going to be like mid-foot-ish, and you're going to bend down and your shins are going to touch the bar without pushing the barbell away. And at the very bottom of the movement, that's I'm sorry, let me clarify that a little bit more. So you're going to bend down, and the shins are only going to touch the bar at the bottom of the lift. So if you are touching before, it's probably that you're too close to it, and then you're going to push the barbell away from you. Or if you're not touching it at all, you might be too far away from it, or you might be just right where it's like grazing your shins. That's going to be dependent on the person. And you just want your arms and your scapula to be directly over the barbell. That's going to be the actual indicator of where you need to line up at. And then you're just going to pick it up or grab it with both hands. You can either have your grip, both hands are going to be pronated, so both hands are going to be double overhand, or you can do an underhand grip on one side, which helps with maintaining your grip strength, and just pick it up. So it's very simple. The hardest thing is really just finding the position of where you're going to stand relative to the bar. What
would you say that the thing that you see break down the most? Because most people are going to talk about rounding their back. And obviously that's up for debate. Of course, they're like most things in this whole weird world of training. But a big thing that people will talk about is just a rounded back. So, what is kind of the prevalence of that? Is it something that people should be worried about? What I've always understood and what I've always felt is that basically if your back starts a certain way and then it kind of deteriorates into more of a rounded position, that's where you're going to run into issues. If you start off a position, which actually we've kind of tweaked mine a little bit, I start like I don't even want to call it rounded, but just not so retracted.
Yeah,
I'm just
more rounded.
Slightly rounded over, but it's not changing throughout the movement.
Yeah.
And that's not like it's not like, oh, I was perfectly upright and everything was packed together, and then all of a sudden I got halfway through and then I rounded my back. That is going to be a huge issue. But if you start with a slight round and you continue that movement, that's actually not going to be the worst thing. Again, this is going to be something that's going to be really important to work with someone in person, or get feedback on lifts through, you can pay people to do that. Like, hey, can I send you a few lifts and, whatever, or training clients, etc. But so we're not suggesting that you round your back mid lift.
So,
but if
especially
you start,
for somebody that is just starting, I don't want to say that you're going to get hurt or you're going to blow your spine out or anything, because I don't think it's true. I think that a lot of it is potentially like an overuse issue, or a history of injury to where you're aggravating something that's already been there or whatever. But the body adapts to stimulus, right? So if you're doing something at a rate and at a manner that you can recover from it and you can slowly grow from it, it's just like a callus on your hand. Your skin is getting a stimulus. Your skin is being rubbed and abrased in a way that makes it harder and firmer. You're creating a callus. Now, if you did that all in one day with a piece of sandpaper, you're going to start to bleed. But if you do that slowly over time, then the callus builds up, the body builds up resiliency there. You have the capacity to withstand the work that you're imposing on it. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing with the deadlift. The spine, the joints, the ligaments, the discs, all of these things can actually grow to be able to absorb the forces that you're putting on them. It's more so just about how quickly you're doing that, how fast you're progressing, and that you're maintaining a level of recovery for all of the different time frames that are going to be involved here. Like I said, ligaments, tendons, soft tissue, which is muscle, and the disc joint, all that have a different rate of recovery, so you're going to have to do that at a gradual pace. So with all that being said, I don't think rounding your back is the worst thing in the world. I would like to see, I don't want to see the lumbar and sacrum rounding excessively, that's pretty hard to do. But besides that, the upper back is pretty much going to be in some kind of flexion. And
moving a lot throughout the
you don't want to move throughout. Moving throughout the movement is something that I would look for. You want to more so stay in an isometric position with the back. The back at a 1 rep max for a very, very, very heavy lift, or you're doing the 8th rep of an 8 rep max, like you can do no more weight for no more reps, you may start to round. Like the back may start to take over, because it's in a biomechanical advantage to do so, over the legs and glutes. Like you might start getting out of position with your hips, and the back might take on more of the load, and that's fine. You're not doing that every single set of every single day. It's a small, it's 1 rep for a couple seconds, and you should be able to, if you have the capacity, you'll be fine from that. But you just don't want to make that a habit. That shouldn't be your go-to technique every single time you deadlift. It should be much more submaximal, something that you can do repeatedly and improve on, and then every once in a while when you're testing yourself, it's fine.
Now let's talk about sumo deadlifting, which is honestly a lot different than conventional. It feels, in my opinion, completely different. So what would be some of the bigger differences here?
So sumo deadlift actually is a wider stance deadlift. So you're going to walk up to it and you're going to have a stance that is outside of your hand. So your hand and your grip are going to be inside your thighs. And this automatically takes some of the load off the back because your hips are closer to the barbell. So you're less round, you're less bent over, you're not standing up as tall, because your legs are wider. So you're going to be closer to the barbell. It's going to kind of look a little bit more like a half squat or something like that. And you're going to place more load on the legs and the glutes and the hips and a little bit less off the back. The back is still going to be taxed and it's still going to be a prime mover, but you're now shifting a little bit of that work from the back to the legs and vice versa for conventional deadlifting. So I've always been more of a sumo puller naturally. I've just started, I think, to find my groove conventional wise, and I've been doing this for a while. But sumo always felt very, very natural to me. The first time I did it, I was like, where the hell has this been my entire life? Like, it just clicked with me immediately. So I think that sumo is an awesome tool. I think the conventional deadlift is an awesome tool too. Sumo deadlift can help with hip mobility. It can help with hip strength. It can help build your glutes, and it can help build the glute medius, hamstrings, all that stuff. So I think that if you're looking for a lift to take some potential stress off the spine or your back growth, then to do the sumo deadlift is a great variation.
It was funny, I actually had somebody message me asking, they were like, I'm doing a ton of like wide stance sumo, like squats and deadlifts, and I can't, like my adductors keep growing, and I was like, because you're doing wide stance, I was like, switch it up, like do more like moderate stance squats and do some RDLs and conventional deadlifts. You're still going to see glute growth.
I don't even know if I touched on that. The adductors will definitely blow up with wide stance squats and deadlifts. That's a huge stimulus for them.
So I was like, actually, what you're like, she's like, what am I doing wrong? I was like, you're doing everything right. Your body's responding perfectly. You're just choosing the wrong exercise, or overloading it too much, depending on, of course, like this was in the context of like hypertrophy. So somebody didn't want their adductors so hypertrophied because they just didn't want that. So
I think jacked adductors look sweet. That's actually one of the for bodybuilders or people that are looking for like a well-rounded physique. The adductors are something that's hard to grow unless you're doing wide stance stuff like that, and that's a very hidden tool to actually fill out your legs.